Is Orient Mako 2 the best diver under 150 bucks? Hey, what is up guys? My name is Oleg, this is Bond. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel and like the content, please do subscribe so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. And I gotta tell you, we have some awesome unboxing and watch review videos coming your way. In today's video, I'm going to do a full review of Orient Mako 2. I got mine over a month ago. I put it through all kinds of different life situations, took it with me on vacation, and now I feel like I have enough knowledge about the watch to do a full review. It's not a perfect watch, but it's pretty great. So let's get into it. Here is Orient Mako 2. Let's start the review as always by looking at the basic dimensions. We have a case diameter of 40.5 millimeters without the crown guards, a lug-to-lug width of almost 47 millimeters, a lug width of 22 millimeters, and the thickness of 13 millimeters. I really like the sizing of this watch. I think the short lug-to-lug width of only 46 millimeters makes this watch very versatile. You can wear this watch if you have a smaller size wrist, or even large size wrists would still be able to pull off this watch. The thickness of 13 millimeters might sound like pretty thick on paper. However, the style of the case back and the way the lugs curve in make this watch look a lot thinner on the wrist. And of course, I'll do a wrist shot in a few minutes or so. I went for the Orient Mako 2. However, there's also an Orient Ray 2 available, pretty much with the same set of specs. Let me pop a picture on the screen right now. You can see them side by side. They're pretty much identical with a couple of different design cues. The bezels are slightly different, the dials are a little bit different, and the set of hands are a bit different. From my understanding, the lume on the Ray 2 is better because it has applied indices, kind of the circles, as opposed to these batons and the Arabic numerals. So of course, the more surface area you have for lume, the better the lume will be. However, I do prefer this dial. I like the Arabic numerals for the 12, for the 9, and for the 6. Kind of reminds me almost of the Rolex Explorer. Arabic numerals and the overall dial, I think, is kind of reminiscent of that watch, but of course it's not an homage or anything like that. Now at the 3 o'clock position, we have the date complication. By the 12 o'clock, there is the Orient logo. Here we have water resistance and 200 meters written down by the 6 o'clock position. I really do enjoy the sword style hands. I think they fit the overall design really well. I like how the minute hand almost reaches the minute running track. I like when watches do that. It makes telling the time a lot easier. I also like the red arrow tip on the seconds hand. Overall, the design of this watch is really what sold me on it. I went for the all black version of this watch, so the black bezel with the black dial. However, the blue bezel and the blue dial version is also available, as well as the blue dial and the Pepsi bezel version. And now the reason why I went for the all black is because I already have a couple of blue diver watches in my collection, and so I decided to go with something a little bit different. And I also do like the matted look of this bezel, so I went for the black version. Just note that there are a couple of other color options available. The dial is done really well. Of course, we have the applied logo for Orient, and the dial looks almost matted. Doesn't have any sunburst or anything like that. It's just matted look, and it looks incredible. This watch actually has great lume, and the lume lasts for a long time. Let me pop a lume shot on the screen right now. Another design cue that I really enjoy about this watch is actually the bezel. It has almost like a matted look, so it's not shiny. It looks really cool in different lighting conditions. I also enjoy the smaller font for the Arabic numerals. For the timer, of course. Now the bezel is 120 click unidirectional diver style bezel. That's what the bezel action sounds like. This bezel actually has a couple of negatives, and the very first negative is just how hard it is to turn this bezel. So I am applying quite a bit of pressure to turn it. Now mind you, it is really hot in my house right now. We having a bit of a heat wave in Canada. I know you don't really think about Canada and heat in the same sentence, but sometimes we do have heat waves, and I had to turn off the air conditioner and close all the windows to block out the outside noise. My hands are extra sweaty, so it makes it even harder to turn the bezel, but nevertheless, the bezel is hard to turn. Also, the bezel doesn't align exactly right. So you can see it's just slightly off. It's not too bad. It's definitely not as bad as some of the other watches, but it is a little bit off. So way to go, Orient, keeping up with those Seikos. Taking a look at the case, it's an all stainless steel case with polished sides and brushed finish on the top. Kind of a nice contrast. Done fairly well. A little bit of a bevel here, so it's rounded off. It's not sharp. We also have the screw down case back. Diver style, 200 meters of water resistance. Let me actually show you what the case back looks like. It's just very standard Orient logo engraved at the back, and that's pretty much it. We also have the crown at the 3 o'clock position. It is a signed crown. I like the crown guards. The design of the watch is executed really well, and the finishes are done very competently. No complaints about the finishes. I don't see any quality control issues or anything like that. However, there is one more negative that I do have about the watch, and that's the crown. The crown is a little bit too small for my liking. So unscrewing it and operating this crown is a bit tricky. I think if they went with a little bit of a larger crown, it would be a lot easier to operate. Also, screwing the crown back into place is a bit of a challenge, just because we have these crown guards and the crown is a bit undersized. Orients and Seikos are not known for the quality of their bracelets, and this Orient is no exception. Sure, we do have solid links in the bracelet, and the bracelet is very comfortable. As you can see, these two links taper, so I believe it's about 20 millimeters here. It still is a fairly thick bracelet. It is comfortable, but a couple of negatives with the bracelet is number one, hollow end links. I mean, you're probably not expecting solid end links in this price point, but something to point out. We have this push style pins, so not screw down pins, not too many micro adjustments on this clasp, and the clasp itself is done fairly cheaply. I mean, it's just a press metal clasp. I'd like to see an engineered clasp on this watch. I think it would make the watch feel and look a lot more solid, a lot more robust. But again, at the price range of under 150 US dollars, you can't be expecting too much. We do have this release mechanism with these two pushers here, and we have the safety guard here, an Orient logo written across the clasp. Brushed finish on the top, and we have a bit of a polish on the side of the links to give it a little bit of a shine, a little bit of a pop. This watch and Orient Ray 2 are both powered by Orient Caliber F69 movement, which is of course hacking and hand winding. That was the big upgrade from Mako to Mako 2 and from Ray to Ray 2. So this is kind of the newer version of both of these watches. Mine is actually very accurate, so it's running about 9 seconds plus per day. I tested it over several days, of course, in different positions, and it's been fairly accurate. So what are my final thoughts on this watch? Sure, the watch has some shortcomings. The bezel just slightly misaligned, the bezel being tough to turn, although I did hear that it will become easier over time, overuse, the bezel kind of will wear in. However, right off the box, it's not the easiest to turn, so you do have to work at it. The crown being a little bit hard to operate, and lastly, this bracelet is nothing to brag over, especially with that just pressed metal fold over clasp and the hollow end length. So there are shortcomings. However, my feelings towards this watch are incredibly positive. I love the design, I love how it looks. It's a very comfortable watch to wear. Of course, 200 meters of water resistance, so it's a perfect watch for weekends, for vacation. And I took this watch with me on vacation to the lake. I took this watch with me to hikes. I took this watch to the swimming pool. Really enjoyed my time with it. And in my opinion, it's the best diver for under $150. It even might rival this little watch here. Now that's of course the Seiko SKX 009. I will do a video comparison and compare these two watches head to head, so to speak. It will be an interesting video. I honestly don't know which one is better. I am kind of right now leaning towards the Orient, but Seiko does have that ISO certification. I mean, it will be an interesting duel to see for sure. And lastly, here's what the watch looks like on my 7.25-inch wrist. It feels really comfortable. It wears really well. I like the heft of it. It feels hefty. It doesn't feel heavy where it's uncomfortable. It just feels hefty and solid, like a proper tool watch should feel. And just look how thin it looks on the wrist. It doesn't look like a 13mm watch. All right, guys, so that was the full review of Orient Mako 2. As you can tell, I really do like the watch. In fact, I think it's the best diver watch for under $150. It could even be the best watch for under $150 in general, not just the diver. I appreciate you watching until the end. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what is your nomination for the ultimate affordable diver watch for under $150. I will do a video in the future comparing this watch, the Orient Mako 2, to the Seiko SKX for the winner of the best affordable diver watch for under $200. That video is to come in the future. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss it. By the way, today on my wrist I'm wearing my Seiko Flightmaster. I did a full review of this watch. Absolutely love it. It's a perfect summer watch, 200 meters of water resistance, and actually the bracelet is very similar in terms of quality to the bracelet on the Orient Mako 2. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.